this, but I used to completely monopolize the car stereo when I was a kid. Other family members would object, and I would make these obsess over making these mixtapes for the car stereo, and then force everyone in the car to listen to them until they begged me to stop. So yeah,
do your family still talk to you?
She's long gone. I'm sure she'd be quite surprised if she could see what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
But yeah, just always, it was just a natural thing I was drawn to. There's this sort of family lore. My mum's dad died on the day I was born, and so my middle name is Louise after his middle name, Louis.
Yeah.
And he was a jazz musician and very, very musical. And so I always like to think that was kind of passed down to me.
And where was all that happening, in Dublin, or?
Yeah, that was in Dublin. So I was born in Dublin, and my mum's side of the family came from Eastern Europe. And her dad spent a lot of time in America, in New Orleans, making music, but then came back to Dublin.
And so that's where the jazz comes from, you think?
Yeah, well, I think he was interested in jazz because that was kind of, I mean, he played alto sax, and I think he probably started off playing in orchestras and stuff. And then he got interested in jazz because that was what was popular at the time. And then he went off to New Orleans because that was obviously the place you go for jazz. So yeah, it was just kind of in his veins. I've been to New Orleans a couple of times, and I always feel, I mean, I love jazz music anyway, but I feel a real connection to him when I go there.
Yeah. And if it was, in the old days, a passport used to have a kind of a description of what your profession was. And nowadays you don't do that because the world has changed. But how would you define yourself? As a broadcaster, a DJ?
I suppose more broadcaster these days. I feel like if I was going to put anything on my passport, that would probably be the least messery sounding job description I could probably put on there.
Yeah. And the whole Annie Frankenstein, talk me through that.
So that was, this is going to sound awful in the context of, this present day and age, but it was just a funny, like, stupid portmanteau.
Yeah.
My mum's side of the family is Jewish. I consider myself to be Jewish.
Yeah.
And my sister's boyfriend coined this nickname, Anne Frankenstein. We just thought it was a funny portmanteau. I feel like in the world of, because long before I started DJing on radio, I was DJing in clubs and bars and stuff. And in that world, I mean,
anything
you see
goes.
Loads of, well, you see loads of stupid DJ names. It was a particular trend for that kind of tasteless portmanteau, Brian Jonestown Massacre and all that stuff for bands, and the same with DJs. So it was just a silly name. And then I realized more and more once I got into radio, and I was saying it over and over again. I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And you came to that conclusion yourself and came in one day to, I think it was BBC 6, when you revealed yourself as Deb Grant one morning.
Yeah. So that
you were sitting in for Chris Hawkins or something, and suddenly you became Deb Grant. And I said, my God, last week you were one thing.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm glad I did it then. Do you know, it was difficult because I had sort of built this, there were green shoots of a career coming up. I'd been on Jazz FM and used this name, and it was obviously quite a distinctive name. And I spoke to my boss at Jazz FM about it. I spoke to my boss at BBC about it, because I was sort of still working permanently at Jazz FM and doing bits and pieces here and there for Six Music when I changed it. And both of them said, listen, it's completely up to you. Yeah. No one put any pressure on me at all. In retrospect, it seemed completely obvious that was the right thing to do. But yeah, there was no pressure felt from any direction. It was.
You sound more serious. You sound very serious when you're Deb Grant,
I am serious.
Okay, I believe you. And you do all your music and your broadcasting career in the UK? Did you do anything here in Ireland before you left?
No, not really. I mean, I moved to London when I was 19, so I didn't really have a chance to get anything going. Well, I did. I definitely did a bit of DJing. I used to play in Doyle's a little bit, covering for my friend Nikki, who was a DJ there for years.
Yeah.
And parties and stuff like that. And I did a bit of writing for the Sunday Indo when I was in Dublin. But yeah, that came from a transition year work experience thing. They kept me on.
And you were writing there as Deb or as
think I was Deborah Grant.
Oh, Deborah. Excuse me.
Yeah, very formal. I was even more serious then. But yeah, nothing really started to gather momentum until after I moved to the UK.
You used to trot into Abbey Street, did you, to write your column, did you?
Yeah, I did actually. It was up in Barry Egan's office. He was.
Barry's still going.
Yeah, is he still going?
Yeah, he's still going. He does these pen profiles and one-to-one interviews. He does very kind of esoteric stuff down, getting to know people. Yeah, he's still out there.
Yeah, he was very good to me, I have to say.
And you found going to UK easy to settle in?
I think I don't know if I did find it easy. I definitely loved being in London and being in a very multicultural city, because even when I left Dublin in 2003 or 2004, and it still, I go back to Dublin now and it feels very multicultural, certainly compared to how it was.
Oh, it's changed.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly. So I was living in East London and, surrounded by these corner shops selling food that I'd never seen before, and all of this was properly wide-eyed, and from that perspective, it was very exciting and I really felt like I was where I was supposed to be. But I think it's always hard moving to a new city, especially, I was 19. I was there to go to university, but I was just not in any way committed to doing any academic work. And so that kind of got on top of me. And, it was, I suppose everyone feels a bit alienated when they're that age. So it was definitely tricky, but I sort of got there in the end.
And what you studied then?
Music and cultural studies. Yeah, but I dropped out. I mean, not that it made any difference, as if, that particular degree was going to do me any favors in terms of getting a job. But yeah, I kind of had to admit to myself that I wasn't.
As you get older, the regret is not finishing in a way, because you get moulding in a way. But at the time, it doesn't fit with your program, so you move on, That's it. You just want to get started in life. And I was just very, very impatient. And yeah, it's funny thinking now, like, God, I had all that time just to learn. Correct.
But yeah.
Where we all in a rush to, I don't know, Deb, but we're all in a rush at that age to get somewhere. And when you get there, you say, if I'd only taken a few more minutes, it would have done me a lot of good.
Yeah, I'd like to slow down now, actually. Like very slow time now, that would be much better.
But London is tough, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is tougher now. Like, obviously in my line of work, I come across a lot of new bands. And whenever I come across new bands that are based in London, I'm like, how are you doing that? I don't know how anyone... Because when I was living there were still pockets of London where it was cheap to live, and there were like restaurants where you could get a plate of noodles for £3.50,
Like Brick Lane is not the Brick Lane it used to be, you know what I mean?
Exactly right. Nowhere is the place. I feel like there's places that it's come to the point where they're anticipating gentrification, so everything is already expensive. So it wasn't as hard then as it would be now, I think. But yeah, just in terms of the size of it and I was in London for 20 years and I never got used to I'm going to get crucified for saying this, but I never got used to the general bad attitude. It is an unfriendly place. And I think when you come from Ireland,
it is.
That's quite different. It's hard not to take that personally,
It is. And I mean, I lived there for years myself, and we have a way about us. We say Howie, it's the man in the street, the woman on the corner. In the UK, it's very different and reserved. You know what I mean? And it's very hard to compartmentalize that and get used to it, I find.
Yeah. There's a sort of general...
aloofness.
Aloofness, sort of suspicion even. I mean, it's a hard place to live. So you can kind of get why everyone has their head down and is kind of involved with their own thing. But funnily enough, I moved to Manchester about 18 months ago, and there's a much more... I'll tell you what it is. It's kind of a recognition of like shared humanity. That's all it is. Like the person who's serving you in the shop is relating to you on a human level. I just feel like you just don't get that in London for what.
And that's to do with the size of the place, or just the personality. I mean, the different types of people there in Manchester, obviously. Is that just culturally different?
Yeah, and a bit like Ireland, the northern people have a reputation for being a bit friendly.